Hi, welcome to the quiz. You can answer along on quizalto.com, all for free. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started, good luck. What type of encryption keys can be managed using AWS Key Management Service? Single-factor and multi-factor authentication keys. Data encryption and network encryption keys. Public and private keys. Symmetric and asymmetric keys. AWS Key Management Service can manage both symmetric and asymmetric encryption keys for various encryption purposes. What is the primary function of AWS Key Management Service CMKs? Share keys publicly. To allow encryption and decryption of data. Decrease data availability. Increase network latency. The primary function of AWS Key Management Service Customer Master Keys is to allow encryption and decryption of data by providing a single key that can manage the lifecycle of data keys and encryption operations. What is the purpose of the AWS Key Management Service Enable Key Rotation command? To accelerate data encryption processes. To manage user authentication. To optimize storage costs. To automate key rotation for specified key management service keys. The AWS Key Management Service Enable Key Rotation command is used to automate key rotation for specified key management service keys, ensuring that encryption keys are regularly rotated for enhanced security and data protection. What is the AWS Key Management Service Data Key? An encryption key used to encrypt data. A key for managing network traffic. A key used to authenticate users. A cryptographic key stored in a hardware security module. The AWS Key Management Service Data Key is an encryption key used to encrypt data, and it is generated by the customer master key for each use. What is the purpose of AWS Key Management Service grants? To disable key rotation. To allow users and roles to use key management service keys. To limit key usage to a single user. To bypass encryption requirements. AWS Key Management Service grants are used to allow specific users and roles to use key management service keys for encryption and decryption processes, ensuring secure key management. What is the purpose of AWS Key Management Service external key tracking? To validate user access control policies. To increase network bandwidth. To automate data backup processes. To track and manage external keys used for encryption by AWS Key Management Service. AWS Key Management Service external key tracking enables users to track and manage external keys used for encryption by AWS Key Management Service, providing visibility and control over key usage and security measures. What is the purpose of AWS Key Management Service custom key stores? To increase network latency. To simplify encryption key management. To meet stringent security requirements. To reduce storage costs. AWS Key Management Service custom key stores are designed to meet stringent security requirements by allowing users to control the hardware security module that houses their encryption keys. What is the primary function of AWS Key Management Service grants? To bypass key policies. To delete encryption keys permanently. To allow users and roles to use key management service keys. To share encryption keys on public forums. The primary function of AWS Key Management Service grants is to allow specific users and roles to use Key Management Service keys for encryption and decryption processes, ensuring secure key management practices. How does AWS Key Management Service help ensure data security during transit? By using weak encryption algorithms. By encrypting data in transit. By sharing data openly. By increasing network vulnerabilities. AWS Key Management Service helps ensure data security during transit by encrypting data using encryption keys, protecting sensitive information from unauthorized access or interception. What is an advantage of using AWS Key Management Service with AWS Lambda for serverless applications? Share data openly. Increase network speed. Decrease data replication. Securely manage encryption keys for functions. An advantage of using AWS Key Management Service with AWS Lambda for serverless applications is securely managing encryption keys for functions, ensuring that data processed by Lambda functions is protected using encryption keys. What is the primary function of AWS Key Management Service grants? Decrease key availability. Increase network bandwidth. Allow specific users and roles to use Key Management Service keys. Bypass key usage policies. The primary function of AWS Key Management Service grants is to allow specific users and roles to use Key Management Service keys for encryption and decryption processes, defining who has access to the keys for secure data protection. What is the purpose of AWS Key Management Service key alias? To limit key usage to a specific user. To provide a friendly name for the key. To increase network speed. To store backup keys. The purpose of AWS Key Management Service key alias is to provide a friendly name for the key, simplifying key identification and management within AWS services and resources. How does AWS Key Management Service help protect your data at rest? By compressing data. By encrypting data using encryption keys. By mirroring data across different regions. By making data read-only. AWS Key Management Service helps protect data at rest by encrypting it using encryption keys, ensuring that even if the data is stolen, it remains secure. What is a benefit of using AWS Key Management Service with AWS CloudTrail? Decreased data encryption. Manual key management. Integration for logging key usage. Increased network latency. A benefit of using AWS Key Management Service with AWS CloudTrail is integration for logging key usage, allowing users to track and analyze key activity for compliance and security monitoring purposes. Why is it important to regularly review and update key policies in AWS Key Management Service? To speed up data transfers. To improve data encryption efficiency. To increase network bandwidth. To ensure that users have the necessary permissions for key usage. Regularly reviewing and updating key policies in AWS Key Management Service is essential to ensure that users have the necessary permissions for key usage, maintain compliance, and enhance security measures. What is a benefit of using AWS Key Management Service for data encryption? Manual key updates. Managed key lifecycle. Increased data corruption. Reduced data availability. Using AWS Key Management Service for data encryption provides the benefit of managed key lifecycle, allowing users to create, rotate, and disable keys as needed for effective encryption of their data. What is the recommended practice for managing Key Management Service key administrators? Use weak passwords for admin accounts. Limit access to trusted individuals or roles. Disable all administrator rights. Share administrator rights publicly. The recommended practice for managing Key Management Service key administrators is to limit access to trusted individuals or roles, ensuring that only authorized users can manage and control encryption keys within AWS Key Management Service. What is the purpose of using AWS Key Management Service client-side encryption? To encrypt data before sending it to AWS services. To bypass encryption requirements. To reduce data corruption. To increase data replication. The purpose of using AWS Key Management Service client-side encryption is to encrypt data before sending it to AWS services, providing end-to-end encryption for data in transit and at rest, ensuring data security and compliance. What is the purpose of the AWS Key Management Service audit log? To track key usage and changes to key policies. To monitor network performance. To manage user access control. To store database backups. The AWS Key Management Service audit log is used to track key usage and changes to key policies, providing visibility into key management activities and helping with compliance requirements. What is an advantage of using AWS Key Management Service multi-region keys? Ensures consistent key policies across regions. Increases data corruption. Decreases data encryption. No need for key rotation. Using AWS Key Management Service multi-region keys provides the advantage of ensuring consistent key policies across regions, simplifying key management and ensuring secure encryption practices. What is a benefit of using AWS Key Management Service custom key stores for sensitive workloads? Decrease key security. Meeting compliance requirements. Increase network bandwidth. No need for key rotation. A benefit of using AWS Key Management Service custom key stores for sensitive workloads is meeting compliance requirements by providing enhanced security controls for encryption keys, ensuring secure encryption key management practices. What action can you take if your AWS Key Management Service key is compromised? Share the key with colleagues. Disable or delete the key immediately. Create a new AWS account. Ignore the issue. If an AWS Key Management Service key is compromised, the recommended action is to disable or delete the key immediately to prevent unauthorized access to encrypted data. Why is it important to monitor key expiration dates in AWS Key Management Service? To accelerate database query performance. To increase network bandwidth. To reduce data storage costs. To prevent data loss and maintain data accessibility. Monitoring key expiration dates in AWS Key Management Service is crucial to prevent data loss and ensure that data remains accessible by renewing keys before they expire. What is an advantage of using AWS Key Management Service for encryption key management? Simplified key management at scale. Manual key rotation. Decreased data availability. Higher network bandwidth. Using AWS Key Management Service for encryption. Key management provides the advantage of simplified key management at scale, allowing users to focus on their applications rather than managing encryption keys. What is the purpose of AWS Key Management Service cryptographic operations? To encrypt and decrypt data. To share data publicly. To increase network bandwidth. To compress data. AWS Key Management Service cryptographic operations are used to encrypt and decrypt data, ensuring secure transmission and storage of sensitive information using encryption keys. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and, if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.